Okay, Assalamu alaikum, and today I would like to make a summary about the production of Lajak Korea tablets, specifically tablet B. The summary is of the production from the month December 2021. So in total, we took 200 bills as samples, and the samples are taken from three shifts: the morning shift, the evening shift, and the night shift. So the samples are being tested in three categories: the weight, the relative density, and the tensile strength. So from this graph, we can see all the samples taken per shift. So the highest the highest samples taken from a shift is from the morning shift, which is 73 samples, followed by 66 samples from the evening shift and 61 samples from the night shift. So here we can see all the statistical data per shift. So this is the morning shift, the evening shift, and the night shift. So as we can see, the sum, and here's a graph of the sum of all the three categories per shift. So as we can see, the morning shift has the highest has the highest weight and relative density and tensile strength, but this is obvious due to it being the high sample, 73 samples, and followed by the evening shift, and lastly the night shift. The standard deviation of all the three shifts is as followed. The highest standard deviation is actually from the evening shift, followed by the night shift, and lastly the morning shift. So here you can see that the mode from the morning shift and from the evening shift for the weight is none, which means that there is no repeated value from all the samples taken for weight for morning and for evening shift. But there is a repeated value for the night shift. Also, you can see that the variance is there's so big difference in the variance between the evening shift and the morning and night shift. Okay. So below is the table statistical data for all the 200 samples combined regardless of shift. So we can see the total sum is 70,185.08 and the relative density is 17,597 and 1,418 for the tensile strength. And you can see that the standard deviation is actually less than the evening shift, which is 17 here. Now it's only 14, and the standard variance is also less. The variance is less than the evening shift as well. The mode, there's actually a new mode, a new repeated, highly repeated value, which is 340.94.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Afif Rahizam. Today, I will comment on whether the significant evidence that Lajak Laku proposed follows the distribution. From our project, we set the population mean to equals to 350 milligrams and the standard deviation of 14 milligrams. All collected data of weight of tablets is organized into a table. A class size of 10 is set and then we find the frequency of each class interval. On the right side is the probability table. For this table, we refer to statistical table to find the probability. To find the probability, we use Z formula as you can see below. The summation of the probability will be equals to 1. Since we set the estimate frequency to be more than 5, we need to form a new table as there is expected frequency that is below than 5. To solve this, we have to add EI until it is more than 5. We can see that we need to add iteration number 1, 2, and 3 and iteration 8, 9, and 10 because the iteration EI is below than 5. The summation of OI minus EI squared over EI will be equals to 7.72, and this 7.72 is the chi-square test value. Okay, next we start the hypothesis testing. Step 1, the H0 will follows the mean and the standard deviation. And H1, it does not follow the mean and standard deviation. Step 2 is the test for the statistic. The chi-square test total will be 7.72. Okay, now for the chi-square alpha and V, we have to calculate it first. Okay, we set the alpha to be 0.05 and the V is equal to K minus 1, and K will be 6, so 6 minus 1 will be 5. So our chi-square alpha V will be chi-square 0.05, 5. This, to get this value, we have to refer back to the statistical table, and we found that the value will equal to 11.0705. Okay, we now have our chi-square test value and chi-square alpha value. We have to go to step number 3, which is the decision rule. Okay, at alpha equal to 0.05, we have to determine whether we have to reject H naught or not. So we will reject H naught if chi-square test is more than chi-square alpha 5. Okay, we have to sketch a chi-square distribution graph, and from that we can see that the chi-square alpha 0.055 equals to 11.0705, and we plot the chi-square test. We found that the chi-square test is not in the rejection area. So this means to the step number 4. This bring us to the step number 4, which is the conclusion. We now conclude that we do not reject H naught at 0.05 significant level. Thus, we fail to reject H naught, and we can conclude that there is no any evidence to support the weight do not follow the normal distribution with mean of 350 and standard distribution of 14. Thank you. That's all from me.
So, Assalamu alaikum. In this part, we'll be checking for any weight significant difference between shifts. So we have 3 shifts: morning, evening, and night, and this is the weight for each shift. The weight of each sample. So in morning I have 73 samples, 66 samples for evening, and 61 samples for night. And this is the sum for each sample, for each shift, and average for each shift, and variance for each shift. So since we have 3 groups, we have to use the Anova single factor from Excel. So we go to data, data analysis, and we choose Anova single factor. So from this, we get these values. So the sum of squares, the degree of freedom, the mean squares, and F statistical, and B value, and F critical. So after this, here we do a hypothesis test. So there's H null and H1. The null hypothesis states that there is no significant difference between the 3 groups, and the H1 alternative hypothesis states that there is difference between the groups, and it's taken at significant level 0.05. So we will reject H null if the F statistics is bigger than the F critical at 0.05 and 2.197. Okay. So here we can see that the F statistical is actually less than the F critical, which mean that we fail to reject HO. So we conclude that there is no significant difference between the tables weight mg for the Lajak Korea tablet B from different shifts in December 2021, when the significance level is 0.05.
Hi, my name is Brayley Gibson and I'm gonna talk about part D, which is about regression analysis. For we to do that, we choose the data option in Excel and we choose a data analysis. and then we pick a regression. For regression analysis, we put relative density as our x value and the tensile strength as our y value. After that, you're gonna have a summary output for regression statistic, which is this one. Then we will find out the value of intercept and x variable, which is this one. Intercept value is negative 0.1724 at 1792, and the x variable is 0.0 at 25 at 5857. Since we have these two important value, we're gonna use these two value for the trend of the graph. Then we can use the x value from question given, which is 60%, 74.3%, and 80.1% to determine the trend of the graph. We just take the relative density and multiply by x variable, which is 0.0825 at 6, and then minus we intercept, which is a negative 0.17248, and we will determine the tensile strength for the given relative density. Also, finally, to complete this one, we can see this regression line. As we can see, the model is valid as the tensile strength is go linearly with relative density. So thank you.